Okay, so we have lethal Shea Leathem here. He's going to be fighting for your welterweight title against Paul Buckley. He's got 8 fights in total. He's fought, if you look at his topology, he's fought the best of the best. So he's fighting another one of the best this weekend. How are you feeling? How's fight week?
I'm feeling good, man. Fight week, it's going according to plan. We're just doing the final preparations for the fight. Obviously, we're dropping the weight slowly, and yeah, fight week's it's going good. It's going good.
Yeah, so like this will be your like ninth kind of fight week at amateur because you've obviously fought 8 times before. How easy? I don't want to say easy, but like talk to us about your first one. Like, what was that like compared to now? Did you notice yourself getting better and learning things throughout those weeks that have brought you to where you are now, being so calm and everything on point?
Yeah, yeah. Just the more you experience like fight week in itself, the more you become accustomed to it, and then obviously with that you'll come better prepared with your wake up. But in my first MMA fight, it wasn't too bad because like since I had so many K1 fights and obviously it's the same process, so it wasn't that much of like a shock to the system. It was just the same shit really. Just in my first amateur fight, I implemented water loading. That was like I think it was the first time I'd done that because beforehand it was just like dropping the weight slowly and then starvation the last couple of days until weigh-in. But now we just implemented water loading, which is a lifesaver, but it's grueling at the same time.
It is. I've seen people do it. I've been there in person, and it's not something I obviously I say like one, you're probably sick of water during the week, and then as it comes to obviously closer to where you're and you have to cut that out, you're probably like, I'd love a drop of water. So it's like two extremes. That must be harsh on the body. But you're fighting Paul, you fought his teammate before as well. When you're coming up to fight a fighter, do you study them, or do you just want to implement your own game, or do you look at bits and pieces, or tell me how you do it, or does Darren do most of the studying for you?
We kind of both do it. I feel like it's necessary to actually assess your opponent just to see what their tendencies are. Of course, I want to implement my own game because you always want to fight your own fight. But with their tendencies, we would just work on how to counter them tendencies, like like the takedowns, obviously, because I know that's what Paul's gonna do come Sunday. But yeah, it's me and Dad. We work together throughout the weeks, and we just fine tune it closer it comes to the fight.
Perfect. And obviously for belt, this is the second belt you fought for back to back fights, obviously. So you're up there and that's so I look at your record as well, right? And your record, it may be a losing record. But I have talked to people that have gone to your gym and trained from other gyms. I won't say their name. And they can't understand how you've actually lost a fight. They said they've never seen like they said the levels that they seen you in the gym is unbelievable. Talk to us about Sanda. Obviously, you've got Jess who's up there in the top as well. You've got Armand, obviously. We can't talk about what he's doing in Octagon. Like, talk to us what the feeling's like in and talk to us about Darren. He seems to have this, he wants to instill this champion mindset in everyone. That's what I've noticed. Talk to us about obviously your teammates and Darren and what they mean to you.
Well, my teammates are down to mean everything to me. I wouldn't be like half the fighter, half the person I am without every single one of them. They all contributed to everything, realistically. But it's high level in our gym. It's just the way we train. We always train high level. We train smart, and we try to train to like to professional levels. So that's what Dice wants to implement into us, that professional championship mindset. Being able to like um so I didn't know where I was going with that, but like Dice just always wants us to have that winning mindset as well. Go into the cage ring with supreme confidence in our abilities because obviously it's all mental in this game. If you feel like you're not like with it, and that you're gonna lose, like obviously if you're having a negative mindset going into a fight, it's gonna have a negative outcome. So he just wants to push that positivity, championship mindset, professional mindset, and yeah, that's mainly it, really.
Yeah, because I've seen them obviously. Jess took the fight with Brian Manning on very short notice, and I think I seen it with you then. I think like when you're standing there and you're not sure, because sometimes I know yourself, like sometimes I stand there going, "What's this decision going to be?" And I say you're the same. Darren's like, head up, hands up, you're a champion. So that's what I
Yeah.
really like about him. And like with Armand obviously gone to do the Octagon thing, like how exciting is it? Like obviously you want to go pro eventually, that you've got the likes of Octagon, PFL, all these other shows, because obviously I would presume the goal is UFC, but there's so many more outlets now for when you do turn pro. Like when you see Armand going to that, like does that make you excited?
Oh yeah, because that's kind of like paving the way for us, and obviously like uh, with him going over there now, and if he gets a contract, obviously that's going to put Sanda in the light, and as well as one of us goes pro, Octagon might look at that and be like, oh yeah, fuck, we'll pick him up since Armand's been with us, you know. So it's good to see that Armand's with a professional company, and it's very good that nowadays that there's a lot of professional companies out there, not just that there's just a UFC, Bellator, or just like like the top ranked,
Yeah.
always on TV and shit like that. So it's good to see that there's many like different options once we go pro.
Yeah, because there's a huge amount in Irish MMA. Like I said, we could sit here and just name people in your weight class for about 10 minutes that are very good, like yourself, Paul, obviously Liam, Jess, there's loads of them. But to get to where you are now, to your ninth fight, another title fight, we need to go back to the start. When did you start and why did you start?
Like completely like since like all
Any
the way up,
combat. Any combat. Yeah.
all the way up. Well, how I got into actual combat sports is that my dad actually brought me down to the gym, mainly because he just wanted me to defend myself for when I go to secondary school. So it wasn't really me that walked into the gym. I was kind of like trailed into the gym, like as a kid. But over the years, just learned to start loving it myself, and just yeah, just like it's a game to where like you have to try it to really know what it's like, and you just it's hard to explain, but like it's uh shit. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's like I say, because you won't be able to explain it, because you need to. Because I always see everyone, like, you need to be in there. Like there's things that I might experience in life that I might say to you, and you're like, explain that, and I'd be like, no. But especially because fighting such a small amount do it. That someone said to me yesterday, they put it this way, like your hobby or your profession, like, is being punched and kicked in the face. Like,
Yeah,
how mad does that sound?
it's actually mad that like I always paint this picture in my head. I just find it mad that like all of us we just meet in a certain area for a certain time just to kick the shit out of each other. It's brilliant. Like it's a brilliant concept.
But it goes back obviously to the olden days traditions, and obviously there's a lot of rules and regulations now. And
Yeah.
like if you look at Irish MMA, what do you think of the scene at the minute? Because if you look at MMA in general, how it's evolved in such a short space of time. When you're looking at like the amateurs around your weight classes, like what you think, obviously you're high level, Paul's high level, like what you think of us compared to other countries? Do you think we're quite high? Because I believe we are, but that's me obviously being biased.
No, I'd agree. I feel like Ireland has one of the best amateur scenes at the moment. It's just everybody seems to be high level. Like the amateur level is just like completely different to what it would have been years ago. Like if you compare it to 10 years ago when like pros were just like there wasn't really an amateur game like years ago, like 10 years ago. Just people just straight away hop into pro. Like pros back then probably wouldn't survive with some of the amateurs of today, just because it's that high level now. And you probably have to thank like the likes of UFC and obviously like Conor McGregor, who paved the way for like who like inspired like a lot of the younger generation now. Like you'd easily see that. I feel like most of the fighters, especially Irish fighters, would probably say, oh, like Conor McGregor would be like my idol, or like the likes of John Jones, all the top level fucking like UFC fighters, MMA fighters.
Yeah, because that's what I get a lot of, obviously. Why did you get into MMA? And what I find now is a lot of the fighters that are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 kind of all like, we started because of Connor. So you can actually see what he done has actually, this is kind of what's coming through now. But I want to talk about like your first ever fight. It doesn't have to be MMA, it can be K1 or whatever, because I believe it was K1 you were fighting in first. When you went in to actually compete for the first time, you get into the ring, like what kind of nerves? Is it excitement? Like what's going through your mind then?
Well, since I was very young when I started like fighting, uh, it was really a lot of like nerves. Like I was like low-key, I was like I was scared to fight because like since I was being a child, like I was a child as well, so like I didn't really have that manly aggressiveness in me to fight. But I just fought anyway because, well, if I'm gonna be trained, why not fucking fight? Like, you know what I mean? But nah, it was mainly nervousness, and in my early career, K1 especially, that like the nerves would be that bad that in between rounds I'd be gagging, like I just get that gag attack. And like I remember one of the fights that Daz turned around me, pointed right in my face and said, "Don't get fucking sick. I swear to God, don't get fucking sick." So I'm there like this fucking red face. But yeah, it was mainly a lot of nerves. But now like I don't really get nervous now. I just get excited. Like I love to fight. Like I just get like a serious buzz. Like every time I'm about to go in the fight and all that. Like it's brilliant. Yeah, that's mainly it. Yeah, I'm always excited to fight. I don't really get nervous anymore because I know what I'm in. I know what I'm in for. Like so,
Yeah.
like no point getting nervous and all that. And obviously, like there would be times where like a tiny bit of nerves would kick in, but it wouldn't really bother me. It wouldn't affect me mentally, physically. Now.
Yeah, because obviously you're used to it. There is going to be a small bit of nerves, but I think if you didn't have a small bit of nerves, it'd be because you didn't care. But like you know how to control it now. And do you
Yeah.
think, obviously, with the shows the way they run now, even for like amateurs coming up for the first couple of fights, do you think, obviously, you could go in, you could do rounds or you could do interclubs or whatever. Do you think amateurs overlook the actual like the day in itself is an event? Like you have to get there early, get your hands wrapped, stuff like that, to waiting around. Do you think that's something that amateurs don't anticipate? Because like if you're on the top of the card, like you will be, you're gonna have to do a lot of waiting around. Like how did you manage to use your time efficiently and productively? That because I know a lot of people like I want to go and then they end up spending their energy before they actually go out. Has that ever happened to you? And how do you manage your time? Because you're usually on the main card, so you're usually waiting a while.
Uh, Probably like years ago, like I used to fight main cards on or like main events on K1 shows. So I had like my first ever like main event. Was obviously it was weird because like usually like I would have been used to like turning up fighting within the first 5 fights, but
Yeah.
when my first I think it was a co-main event, like waiting there on the show and then the anticipation building and all that, the nerves getting like getting higher and higher since they're becoming closer to my fight. Um, it's all due to experience. I feel like whenever you first experience like fighting late on a card, like yeah, what is it? The adrenaline would like kind of kick in a wee bit because you're just ready to fight, and then like you'd have like a wee dump. That's what happened to me. Like I was just there, I was trying to keep awake and all that. The nerves kept getting at me, and then by the time it came to fight, it was like I was a wee bit sleepy, you know, just like very tired. It wasn't all there, and like that would cost me like the first round because I wouldn't have been into the fight. But yeah, I think it just really comes down to like experience, like how many times like you're fighting late.
Yeah,
And
because like that, there was a girl who told me, and this actually I couldn't believe it. She said she'd go in and she get her hands up and she'll have a nap because then when she kind of gets up closer to a fight, the adrenaline starts kicking in then rather than having the dump. I said, how can you have a nap before you have a fight? Like you're like that's madness. But no, it's you've had so many fights now. Like I said, you've always fought the best people. Like is that something that you look for? If they gave you a name and you thought it wasn't going to challenge you, would you turn it down and look obviously for the better option? That's what it looks like has happened. Or have you always just been offered the best because of your level?
I feel like I've just always been offered the best because of my level and because Sanda, like obviously being like a club that's up there with high level fighters. But no, I wouldn't necessarily turn down any fighter. I like if that show like gives me the name, I'll say yeah, fuck it. When is it? And then yeah, that's like we'll just start going from there. But nah, I wouldn't really like turn down like a fight. But like if it's the best, then I'll always go for it because we're out here trying to be the best professional, not like the best amateur. So I want to like basically iron out all my mistakes now by fighting like top level, and then by the time it comes to pro, like I'm smashing it.
Yeah, 100%. Because when you go pro, it's 0-0, the slate's clean. Like you could lose. I always point to Kieran Clark for example. He was 13-10. So he had like a 50-50 record kind of an amateur. Now look what he's doing. Like I
Yeah,
said, all the mistakes that you're making, or I don't want to say mistakes that you make, but the gaps maybe that you didn't realize you had. Are you learning a lot from these wins and like from the losses and the wins as well? Like, do you look back on your wins as well and pick out things that maybe you could have done better? Because a lot of fighters seem to just look at the losses, where someone said to me, they actually look at their wins more and say, I could have finished it here. Do you look at both to see where you can improve for the future?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like it's necessary to always like to watch any of your fights back, just to like fix all the mistakes that like you've made, win or lose. I feel like it's very necessary to grow as a fighter. Um, but yeah, like I feel like the records in amateur, it shouldn't really matter to anybody. Like I don't think, like I don't give a fuck about my record. Like I just want to get in there, fight, and become better as a fighter. And obviously the more I fight, the more I'll pick up my mistakes, and obviously that'll benefit me more in the future when I turn pro, because when I go pro, I won't be making them like amateurish mistakes.
Yeah, and like that, because you're fighting the likes of the top level, the Liams, the Conor McCarthy's, you're fighting the highest level. Like the likes of Conor, I think he's going to go pro very soon. I think Paul will be going pro very soon after this. So the question begs now, when do you plan on going pro, or do you just want to kind of take it fight by fight with amateur, or do you have a plan?
I'll take it fight by fight for now. I haven't really like done myself a plan. Like I'd like to actually turn pro within the next 2 or 3 years. That would be like the slightest bit to a plan I have. But like until the opportunity arises, I just want to get every fight over and done with, just to iron out all the mistakes, become better as a fighter.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, because like that, you could have 3 or 4 more fights and go, I feel ready, or you could go for another 10 fights, and especially with the amount of shows and here and the talent, like I said, there's so much opportunity for you to get so much experience in such a short time. And I know you're not looking past Paul this weekend, because Paul obviously is a good competitor. Like, that's why you're both in a title fight. Do you have any plans for the rest of the year, or are you just looking at this fight as it stands? Like, do you have any fights booked? I mean, sorry.
Yeah, after this, I'll have a fight booked on cage conflict. I'm not sure if you've seen the poster, but that's for an interim welterweight
Oh, I
belt.
did see the poster. I shared the poster as well. But I like to hear it coming from you.
That's all good enough. But that it's IOR and cage conflict. That's all that's on the plate right now. And obviously, like after this fight, I don't know if I'll get another offer. It just all comes at me, and then just wait and see what the hell it is, really.
And then it happens when it happens. Because sometimes you could lay out a plan for a year, and then something happens in the first month of the year, or so a fighter pulls out, you get an niggly injury, and it doesn't go to plan. So I kind of like have kind of a plan in place, and then just kind of ad hoc it, like you said, whatever comes at you comes at you. So obviously you're gonna be fighting this weekend. I'm gonna let you go. I want to thank you very much for your time, because I know it's fight week. There's a lot going on for you. I want to wish you the best luck. I can't wait to see you fight again, because the last fight that I seen you in obviously was Stephen Cunningham, and I loved the way you opened up that fight. I was sitting there going, "Whoa, is that something you do regularly?" Actually, have I seen that
Yeah,
before?
you watch back on my fights, you'll see I like starting off that week, because it's a good mood setter. Realistically, like I just arrive up into their face, like, here, let's go, like.
You know, I remember seeing it with you before, and then obviously when it happened on the day, I was like, yeah, he does that before. Because at first I was like, because I think Stephen, did he go to touch gloves? But you had said you touched gloves in the middle or something. I went, no touch gloves or something, was it? And then
No, I kind of touch gloves like before the fight starts, because before
yeah,
touching gloves, because like some people use touching gloves to their advantage to like really like close the distance, because like whenever like people like when they're touching gloves, like it's just your guard's down for that second. The
yeah,
fight starts. I don't believe that you should really touch gloves at the start, but like obviously the respect is shown before and after the fight. But
yeah,
while we're fucking fighting, like trying to rip
yeah.
each other's head, yeah.
That's what Alexander Yankov's the same. He said, like, I don't think even no, I think he might touch gloves, but he'll give you the stare. And that's what, during the round, someone was trying to, he goes, no, 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 no.
Mm.
Because after.
Yeah.
We show respect. But because you could end up like, do you remember Wonderboy and Darren Till? All they did, it seemed like, was touch gloves for the whole fight, and you're just like, what is like touch gloves after the fight? Like, there's 2 fighters you want to see. So yeah, I can't wait to see you fight again in person. It's gonna be an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to see Darren and all the guys there again. Is there anything you want to say before you go?
I just want to shout out my team. my coach, my family, my friends, everybody that's coming up to the fight on Sunday, and my sponsors as well. I appreciate everything you do for me. You don't understand. It's a massive help. All the support you guys give me. So that's it. That's all I'd like to say.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much for your time again, and I can't wait to see you on Sunday.
No, Bar, thank you so much for the interview, man. I'll see you on Sunday.
Perfect. It's been my pleasure.